these frightening scenes coming out of Japan. Japan's west coast reeling after a powerful 7.5 magnitude quake caused widespread damage.
Japan is bracing for more aftershocks after a series of powerful earthquakes triggered the highest level tsunami warning.
Something just took place in Japan at the dawn of 2024 that has rocked the entire country. Due to what happened, tens of people have met their ends, and hundreds of others are currently out of shape, homeless, and staying in shelters. No one believed that it could be this severe. Government and rescue agencies got their hands full trying to salvage the situation. What is it that happened in Japan that shocked everyone to their bones? And what exactly is the impact of the catastrophe? Join us as we reveal the terrifying event that just happened in Japan. Massive earthquake in Japan kills 62 people in Japan, injures 600. A terrible earthquake that was reported to be of magnitude 7.6 violently shook the country of Japan, causing massive landslides and rough collapse of lots of buildings. Prior to this, the U.S. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center had warned of large tsunamis around the 190 miles of coast. To back up the prediction, the Japanese Meteorological Agency, JMA, also warned that the prefectures of Toyama, Ishikawa, and Niigata would experience major tsunamis. This warning was originally directed to Ishikawa, but as time passed, it was downgraded and changed to advisory. Though the people of Japan were well prepared and had evacuation plans set in place whenever the tsunamis happened, everyone was still thrown into shock when a series of earthquakes suddenly began shaking the country, bringing down buildings and tearing up roads. Later revealed to be of magnitude 7.6, the earthquake started from the coast of Ishikawa and spread to neighboring prefectures. The intensity of this seismic activity stimulated waves that went as high as 1 meter or 3 feet. These waves of earthquake ran through the entire west coast of Japan and entered into South Korea. The earthquake began at exactly 4:10 p.m. Japanese local time and surged with a depth of 10 kilometers or 6 miles inside the Noto Peninsula of Ishikawa Prefecture. The quakes and tremors laid waste to everything in their way as they caused sudden fires, sank houses, disrupted internet and power connections, and triggered even more tsunami alerts. Around the city of Wajima in Ishikawa Prefecture, new reports came in that the waves of the earthquake were slightly beyond 3 feet, as it stood at exactly 3.9 feet or 1.2 meters. These waves are how high the ground was rocked in a wave-like motion by the earthquake. It was no wonder that over 62 people were confirmed dead, as some were trapped under piles of rubble. What about cars who were driving and the road suddenly cracked wide open? They would have been caught up in a landslide and buried before rescuers even had a chance to locate them. All around Ishikawa and its nearby prefectures like Niigata and Toyama, severe tremors kept shaking buildings, causing some structures to fall on their sides and making other buildings collapse completely. Large buildings were repeatedly jolted, along with roads and bridges. People who found themselves in the midst of this frightening scene cowered in fear inside train stations and nearby shops. The JMA recorded that from 4:10 p.m. to 7 p.m. in Japanese local time, dozens of earthquakes kept hitting Japan again and again. After 7 p.m., a number of aftershocks were experienced across the country, especially inside Ishikawa. Rescuers consider the first 72 hours after an earthquake to be the most critical time in saving lives because injured people would still be alive by then. Aside from those trapped and buried beneath a pile of rubble from collapsed houses, thousands of injured victims were found and rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately for them, the huge cracks on the roads delayed their quick arrival at the hospital. Local hospitals witnessed a large influx of injured patients being brought in. Around 62 people were confirmed to be clinically dead, and over 600 others were injured. According to major TV broadcasters in Japan, about 90% of the houses in town are either fully destroyed or almost destroyed. The government has dispatched army personnel to assist with rescue operations as they continue to assess the extent of damage. Due to the intensity of the earthquake, the damage couldn't be assessed a day after the quakes until a couple of days after. Lots of people have been forcefully rendered homeless because their lovely homes have been swallowed up by the wide jaws of this earthquake. Others can only look at the ruins of what was once an architectural masterpiece and their beloved abode. Over 31,800 people are reported to be in shelters at the moment, as tens of thousands of homes have been ravaged to ruins. Since Japan is one of the countries most vulnerable to earthquakes, the country has a strictly tight construction regulation to maintain a certain standard of durability in its buildings that can withstand the harshest of earthquakes. You can be sure that their buildings are not suffering from poor construction. In fact, Japan has policies that ensure their buildings are one of the toughest in the world. To ensure the buildings are battle-tested and ready at all times, they conduct emergency drills that prepare and fortify the buildings for severe bolts of quakes. For this earthquake to rock and tear their buildings down, you can be sure that it's really of magnitude 7.6 or slightly more. Firefighters, policemen, rescue dogs, and other rescue operation teams are making frantic efforts to find as many people who are lost and waiting to be saved. Fumio Kishida, the Japanese Prime Minister, has instructed the rescue teams to do everything humanly possible to save lives, especially those isolated from roads that were destroyed by the quake. The rescue team is making astounding progress despite the limitations and handicaps created by the impassable roads and disfigured terrain. The government has proudly reported that over 10 persons trapped inside buildings have been rescued. In actual truth, the numbers are likely to be higher than that given since the government is always modest regarding such figures. I was so afraid. A rescued woman currently living in one of the shelters in Shika town told TV Asahi during her interview that she was so scared because she didn't know when the next quake would hit. Visibly shaken, she confessed that she couldn't sleep because the aftershocks were still going on, and she was afraid. Survivors of these tremors would need some time to heal from the trauma caused by this earthquake. And this woman isn't the only one currently experiencing fright because of the recent happenings. Minai Akiyama was interviewed by CNN, and she poured out the fear and heaviness that had permeated her soul because of these quakes. Akiyama said that she migrated from southern Japan to Ishikawa Prefecture to celebrate the new year with her family until the unexpected happened. Narrating in an unsettling voice, she said that the ground began to shake. She also said that as she thought about the whole event now, it made her tremble. Her heart started pounding painfully. She went completely blank, and in that state of panic, she scrambled to safety along with her family. She was rescued while cowering in fear under a table. Now safe at a shelter, Akiyama said that she feels like the building is still shaking even now. And whenever an aftershock happens, she thinks of the main quake, and her body starts trembling all over again. The chief cabinet secretary, Yoshimasa Hayashi, was reported saying that over 70 persons had been rescued overnight, and officials are now hurriedly meeting a new request to deploy rescue dogs to the rescue scenes. The number of people rescued from underbuilding rubbles or entirely cut off areas is still being counted. Living in Kanazawa City, Barney Davies also shared his scary encounter with the earthquake that happened recently. He was relaxing at home when the earthquake started, but he brushed it off because he had experienced smaller tremors prior to this, and they didn't lead to anything serious. Alas, this earthquake didn't turn out to be like others, as it grew and continued to grow bigger. Now unsettled, Barney said he watched in absolute fright as the intensity of the earthquake was magnified, and the fridge door was forcefully opened with different books and photos violently flying off the shelf in all directions. Thankfully, the earthquake in Kanazawa City lasted for only a minute and a half, so his fear was short-lived. Still, Barney can't shake off the startling thoughts and feelings that crossed his mind when he experienced that intense earthquake. He said he dismissed the earthquake initially because he thought it was another small one, so he brought out his phone and started taking videos of the shaking so he could show his family. He kept recording until the violent earthquakes grew to such degrees that he had to scamper for safety, completely forgetting about his little precious phone. He recounted that when he went upstairs, everything had fallen down. Every single thing that was hung, suspended, or even standing was brought low, creating a complete mess on the floor. The earthquake left the house in a different way than it met it. Meanwhile, Barney's wife and daughter went out to do a little shopping, and they would have been completely oblivious to what Barney was going through at home had the earthquake not met them where they were at the supermarket. Instinctively, the wife and daughter, together with other shoppers and passers-by, crouched down for safety as they found a way to leave the environment because of several alerts. In another part of Japan, a student who came to Japan from Hampshire described how the earthquake disrupted her New Year celebrations. Age 21, Lauren Cullen, who was spending a year at Nagoya University of Foreign Studies, narrated how the earthquake shook the 8-story building she was living in from side to side. She said she woke up not too long ago from her New Year's rest when the entire building started shaking from side to side. The whole building shook so violently that her belongings started tumbling from wherever they were kept. In a matter of seconds, she received an alert on her phone. Everyone's phone gave a notification sound to signify that the alert was sent to all. After a brief moment of thought, she quickly ran under her desk and got into the brace position. The intense tremor ended a few minutes later, as resident assistants began informing everyone to pack their bags and get ready to be evacuated. Lauren revealed how she tried to pick up everything after the first shock subsided, and not too long after, another less violent aftershock began that caused all of her personal items to fall over again. Over 36,000 households were cut off from the power supply. One of the Japanese utilities providers, Hokuriku Electric Power, reported that more than 36,000 homes lost power supply around the Toyama and Ishikawa prefectures. This happened because Hokuriku's Shika plant, found in Ishikawa, was the nearest to the earthquake's epicenter. For that reason, the Hokuriku Shika plant put a stop to its 2 reactors a little while before the quake began, so the plant personnel could do some regular inspections. The period of emergency shutdown has ensured that residents are without power supply and are thrown into darkness. After the earthquake subsided a little, Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority took a look at the nuclear power plants situated in the Sea of Japan. They also inspected 5 reactors found in the Takahama plants in Fukui Prefecture and the Kansai Electric Power's Ohai. Finally, analyzing 22 other reactors located in 6 facilities that spanned across the coastline affected by the earthquake, the regulation authorities came to the conclusion that there were no irregularities or malfunctions with the nuclear power plants. That's good news for the people of Japan, because it means that the power supply will be restored in no distant time. Thanks for watching to the end to discover the scary event that happened in Japan, causing traumatic shock to everyone. Leave your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting video content.